Bases drop for another round of Soccer's morning show. Soccer down here, John here, you there. It is our first weekend whip around of the Major League Soccer season. We know what that means. 10:30, morning four-card, morning ropes. 10:30, and I say 10:30 because we're going to backtrack and let you know what's going on here. 10:30, it's going to be a lightning round of the weekend whip around. So patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. We'll take you through all of the matches this weekend, all the fun facts, all the stuff, all the juice boxes. We'll get you into that, and that'll happen at 10:30 because at 10 o'clock, Kevin Egan set to join us, the new host of MLS 360 on Apple TV. It's going to be great to catch up with Kevin, get his thoughts on the season, his thoughts on the new gig, and what he's looking forward to the most, what are his storylines as we go into the 2024 season. And we have to obviously ask Kevin about Atlanta United and find out what Kevin has in mind for Atlanta United this season with all of the change, everybody coming in early, and going to Columbus. So a tough first task, say that 10 times fast, for Atlanta United. Should be able to get Greg Garza to hop on with us for a little bit at 9:30 or shortly thereafter for the Friday Free Kick, and we'll catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. 9 o'clock until Greg shows up, or 9:05 or 9:07 as we are now. 9:07 until Greg shows up. We'll go through all the news of the morning. We've got Europa draw, Europa Conference draw. So basically it's the NIT and the CBI draws for European soccer. We've got that. We got news of the morning, all these other things. Remember, tonight. Whoa, 5:30 and 7:30. It is the Friday night SDH game of the week, and this one is going to be good. It's a doubleheader, and it is the Whitfield County Hall County Challenge from Johnson, Gainesville, and the Castle. Maddie Cruz and I will be calling this one. 5:30. It is going to be Northwest Whitfield and East Hall. That one's at 5:30. 7:30 is the big one. Dalton and Johnson, Gainesville. Going to be a fun doubleheader. You'll have that on the network, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com, MIXLR, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. That's our live streaming channel this year. And don't be surprised if we have to have SDH2 over at Mixlr. So right now, just the one channel, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. You'll get the doubleheader tonight, the SDH high school game of the week brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, Subaru of Gwinnett, Alliance Nurse Corp, and Reverb by Hard Rock Hotels in Atlanta. So 5:30, 7:30, the doubleheader tonight on the network. Going to be a packed house. Get there early. And I imagine that the folks from Whitfield County are probably going to be leaving when the show is over and heading that direction then. So fun doubleheader. Maddie's calling the first match with Johnson, Gainesville. With Northwest Whitfield and East Hall. I'll be calling Dalton and Johnson, Gainesville. Once again, it's going to be a packed house, going to be loud, and it's going to be great to be there for the game of the week. So packed show this morning, and it's going to be fun to get you ready for Atlanta and Columbus. I want, in the Twitch pitch this morning, I want your thoughts leading into the match. You can give me predictions if you want. You can give me what else is on your mind as we're getting into match week 1 in full after we've survived Messi and friends on the weekend. And so there's that. And we've also got some news. I know that Drew Dickinson is probably lighting a candle in the corner of his office because Rasmus Højlund is now out. He is out for injury for a while, and 2 to 3 weeks with a muscle injury. And Manchester United faces Fulham at home on Saturday. So very, very busy times here today. Friday shows traditionally, now that we are in league play, they're going to fly. And so it's going to be fun to go through everything. But once again, as we go this morning, I want your thoughts on Atlanta United. I want to know what you're thinking going into the match. You can give me predictions. You can give me keys. You can give me whatever. We'll roll through them all. And we'll probably will have to go into stoppage time after we're done because we won't be done. So just letting you know now, might go a little over. The fourth is probably going to hold up the light board, and we're going to have to go over some minutes. It won't be as bad as it was in Liga MX, where you had the 32 minutes with the Cruz Azul match the other day. We won't have like 32 minutes of added time. We won't go that far. We might have some. We won't have 32 minutes. Very busy day yesterday and a couple days back. If you missed the interview with Faton Bauta, former UGA quarterback who's now in charge of a new club in the NPSL, that's up on the network as well. New Jersey United AC, and it's a bit of a learning experience for Faton Bauta, but it's great to catch up with a former SEC quarterback because now the NPSL just means more So that's where we are. All right. So early comments before we get into everything. Let's see. Morning, Ricky. Yes, it is a 5-stripe Friday. And 4-card, you know how it is with paperwork sometimes. Shoot, with the way that green cards are and getting folks for MLS teams. Takes a while. Morning, Sharif. Welcome back. Good to see you on a Friday. Michael Valverde is in on a Friday before the kickoff. Alex, good morning. Yes, Gigi, if you missed the episode 1 of Wired, Rooted in the Stripes, take 15 minutes. It's a great watch. That is a dude that's on a mission. And so Yorgos Yakamakis, great to see his comments, but it was a very cool first edition of what we saw with Rooted in the Stripes. Very, very cool. Alex is looking at 2-2 with a draw, and Michael watched Miles on a new kit last night. It hurt his heart. You probably weren't the only one. FC Cincinnati took care of their Canadian Premier League opponent, and Nashville took care of Mocha. Not Coffee, but that was the actual name of the club. They played down in the Dominican Republic. 3-0. It was 2-0 in a hurry. They got the third one. They kind of cruised. But the biggest news with Nashville is Sam Surridge. Surridge walked off the pitch with an injury, went straight to the locker room last night. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Might catch up with our buddy Lucas Panzica because next Wednesday, their return is going up against Mocha at Geodis. So we'll see what's going on. Sorry, I'm getting Calvary and Cavalry mixed up. So, Calvary and Cavalry. That's my brain is like not functioning. So thank you, Michael. All right. So I haven't had my Mountain Dew yet. It's off to the left. But in control, FC Cincinnati was last night. They got the win in their first leg. Nashville got the win in their first leg. So not really a whole lot of surprises. You had the close one with Philadelphia and Saprissa. It's a 1-goal margin. They're coming back up here to Chester for leg number 2. So it'll be, can Saprissa get a goal, even it up at 3-3 and make things interesting? Or because, remember, with the current set of officials that we have in Major League Soccer, all of the new rule changes, they're not happening yet. The thing about staying down and substituting and all those kinds of things, those rules have been pulled back for the time being. So we're back to the old system, the old teams, all that stuff. So there it is. So the old rules are in play. So we'll see what happens this weekend when it comes to Major League Soccer and what happens with all of that. Ricky was also thinking a draw. Niall didn't know about Shonday losing both of his parents. I did not know that either as a part of the storyline. So once again, go see Rooted in the Stripes. Very, very cool. First edition. All the stuff that the Atlanta United social media team is pumping out is incredible material. And when you see how open and honest the conversations are and the sharing of stories and information, I mean, it really does make you appreciate these guys that much more. So grab the content, go to the YouTube channel. It's probably the easiest place. Atlanta United's YouTube channel for all the content that they're pushing out here at the beginning of the season. Very, very cool stuff. But yeah, Rooted in the Stripes, 15 minutes, episode 1. It's worth your time. So go catch that. Yes, the soundbite from Rob Valentino. That's Rob, though. It's been posted on different social media for Atlanta United, but that's Rob. Rob is lit up. And I was torn. I will say this as a production element. I was torn between bleeping and the laying out. The laying out was what you got. Basically, the word was just covered over and you just had like a blank air. I was torn. Do you bleep it or do you go blank air? I like the bleep sometimes for adding emphasis, but it was knocked out. So you don't hear the word. You don't get a bleep with Rob Valentino, but that's Rob. Rob's fired up. And I like that. And it's a great balance that you see from the coaching staff with Gonzalo and Coach De La Torre and Rob and all these guys. They come at you from different angles, and it's great to have that blend that you've got for the staff for Atlanta United. Niall, 2-2 draw goals from Almada, and Gigi Dell, morning, as Dell gets closer to USL Championship. So that's where we are. Once again, predictions, keys, what you're hunting for in the match for Atlanta United, what you're hunting for in the match involving anybody else in Major League Soccer this weekend. Any other highlights, anything else that's on your mind? Once again, we'll talk about it. Like I said, we'll probably go over a little bit this morning. This might be, because of our guests that we have, that's why we might be going a little over. Hopefully, We'll stick to like 2 hours under normal circumstances. Weekend Whiparound traditionally is longer than 30 minutes, but we'll cram as much information as we can in here into the Friday show. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, on our YouTube channel, and on the 280 character app. Once again, that's your QR code. Thanks to Abby for making the QR code better than anything I could have ever made. So that's your QR code. You click on the QR code, go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. What you do there is then you use the code Soccer Down Here 15, Morning Harry, and you get 15% off your purchase with Kickoff Coffee that I'm fairly certain that Michael Valverde is sampling as he's listening to the show this morning. They, in turn, take 10%. Our friends at Kickoff Coffee, they take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives from our friends that they have earmarked. So very, very cool stuff from our friends. That's a QR code from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, now this is where we do the housekeeping and come up with the stories. Okay, we talked about what's going on at 5:30 and 7:30 tonight. Remember, 1 o'clock, 92.9 The Game, pregame show with Abe and Jarrett. They'll be with us Monday morning at 9:15. Now, after the match, full hour after, and you'll get the full 4-hour experience of 92.9 The Game in Atlanta United. Now, also on the board, once again, housekeeping. Here's the scarf. Once again, Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, $32. You can email me, Venmo me, direct message me, all these kinds of things. You send the money to me, I send the scarf to you, unless you want Abby to deliver it for you, to you, so you can see Abby and what's left of the Abstermobile. So, $32 plus an Abstermobile delivery. Or if you want it shipped, it's an extra $5. We'll go to the post office, something like that. But Venmo me, DM the show, and we can get you to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation as they build a national team from scratch. We're part of the story. We're following the story, and the fact that we are helping them out, we thought that this was a fantastic cause. It is, and looking forward to seeing them once, if not twice, here on this side of the Pacific Ocean later this season. So, Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Ropes has his. Ropes should model his. Next time you see Ropes should be modeling his Marshall Islands scarf. So, Ropes has one of these, and you can too, to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. 32, Venmo, PayPal, DM me, email me. We'll ship it to you unless you want Abby to see you, and she can deliver it to you in person. So that's the scarf to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Now, opening kickoff from an MLS perspective. Minnesota United. And I know that they seem to be, how do we phrase this? Easily kickable since this is opening kickoff. We do now know who their new head coach is probably going to be. And it is going to be Manchester United assistant Eric Ramsey. He's agreed to a deal, according to Tommy Scoops, as of yesterday. Tom Bogert of The Athletic reporting that they were closing in on naming him. It hasn't been finalized. The deal is near completion, so the window is still open. Now here's the key part with Minnesota United. And like I said, we'll ask Kevin about this at 10 o'clock as a part of our whip around with Kevin. Paragraph 2 in the story with Tom Bogert involving the new assistant, the new head coach at Minnesota United. And yes, Dell, that is the proper thing to do. Pray for Eric Ramsey. He's going to need it. Eric Ramsey, as we know, paragraph 2, is expected to depart his role at Manchester United for Minnesota after the Manchester Derby, March 3rd. After the Manchester Derby. So Ramsey is now officially 32. He had a birthday in all this discussion. Highly rated, worked under managers at Manchester United, joined player development and set piece coach under Ole, remained under Ragnick, grew under Eric Ten Hag as he was appointed manager, assistant coach for Wales for 6 months in addition to the duties with United. Wales manager Rob Page called him arguably one of the best young coaches in football at this moment in time. Previously worked as a U23 assistant at Chelsea. Speaks fluent Spanish. Was chased after by Blackpool. Chased after by Swansea City. They were interested in appointing him as a successor to Michael Duff back in December. But once again, involving Minnesota United, How many days are we before the season starts? How many days? Anyone? Anyone? Technically, the season's already started. Yes, I know. But where Minnesota United is concerned, the Loons, they play tomorrow night. They play tomorrow night against Austin. So what you will have happen, and I imagine that Eric Ramsey is going to be doing a certain amount of monitoring and doing virtual things and all that kind of stuff. But what you will have happen now is you will have the second substitute teacher continuing to be a substitute teacher until Eric Ramsey gets there. And we assume, once again, that Eric Ramsey is going to take this gig. We are assuming that this is going to happen. Deal's not finalized, according to Tom Bogert. But it's assumed, and we all know what happens when you assume, that Eric Ramsey's taking the gig. Minnesota's got a game against Austin in match week 1. Then you have all of the different matchups in match week 2. They've got one Saturday, March the 2nd at home, the home opener against Columbus. Then, apparently, possibly, probably, allegedly, it will be Eric Ramsey joining Minnesota United after 2 matches this season. So 2 matches in, and Minnesota United is probably, apparently, possibly cool with their new head coach dropping in 2 matches into the season. Remember everything that we were talking about with their chief soccer officer. KSA was in England forever. And yes, Alex, I guess he still needs his visa sorted. I'm guessing this is the case. I'm guessing this is what's going on. I would imagine he still has to get his visa sorted. Remember all the visa madness with the chief soccer officer, who was coming from Barnsley in the lower divisions from the EFL. I assumed you could do things virtually, but he didn't want to meet his players until he was actually at spring training or winter training, preseason training in Tucson, Arizona. Like I said, I assume you can do things virtually. But you had a chief soccer officer who was stuck in England. And you now have your possible, probable new head coach who is coming from the Premier League, who will be joining you possibly, in theory, according to Tom Bogert, after match week 2. So 2 matches are done, Austin and Columbus for Minnesota United, and then Manchester Derby happens on that Sunday, March 3rd. And then Eric Ramsey packs up his stuff, we guess, and heads to the United States. But once again, to the point Alex is making in the Twitch pitch. Still needs his visa sorted, I guess, unless it's already sorted. We haven't heard anything from Minnesota United about it. Andy Greeter would be the guy to follow on the Twitters for this again. But once again, you have a situation where you are being, I don't know if reactive is the word. I don't know if we're even there. I don't know if we're even to that point now. Minnesota seemed happy, making sure that their new chief soccer officer got everything sorted out, and he came in training camp instead of before training camp. Now, the guy that you are naming but have yet to fully sign is coming in after match week 2, and you're cool with this. If I were the fans in Minnesota, I would be losing my ever-loving ish with all of this stuff. Players coming in for various reasons into camp, and I get it. So there were some that that were having, I think some had additions to the family in the offseason. So I don't know when you had your full complement of players for Minnesota United to be with the second substitute teacher to get ready for the 2024 season. But apparently, and like I said, this isn't even officially official yet. But the lean is to Eric Ramsey, who won't be here until after the Manchester Derby at the earliest. And I'm keeping Alex's comment in the Twitch pitch up. He still needs his visa sorted right. I guess he does. I'm guessing he does. Unless Eric knows somebody, or Minnesota knows somebody, or the chief soccer officer has connections back to the old country, back to England and his time at Barnsley, to get this expedited so Minnesota United can have a coach, a head coach. I'm guessing that they're patient throughout this entire process, meaning the front office and the ownership group. We're in a slow build, so we'll take our time and we'll name a coach and we'll be patient and we'll see what happens. But apparently, according to sources, and we all know about them sources, Ramsey's style has to do with youth and pressure and speed. 4 players, I think, on this roster are older than Eric Ramsey. I'm imagining they may not necessarily be around or their roles will change. Minnesota United, to me, right now, wooden spoon contender. And I don't think there's a second guess. I don't think there is a second guess, unless you're talking Toronto FC, who, by the way, re-signed Richie Larea to a contract this morning, and he just fell down again. So Richie Larea's back in Toronto. That literally was released just as we were coming on the air. But this has to be the most patient ownership group known to mankind in Minnesota. I'm cool with 2 substitute teachers. I'm cool with the chief soccer officer coming in when he comes in to get everything off and running. And now apparently, like I said, this isn't even official. But they're leaning toward a coach who won't be in to be the head coach until after match week 2. And then how much longer is it going to take if in fact their systems are in place? How long is it going to take them to get to full song? How long is it going to take them to figure out, okay, this is what Coach Ramsey wants us to do, until his systems are in place? Can you implement the systems that you want while you're waiting for your visa in between now and the Manchester Derby to come over to the United States? Or can you do this like 29 days at a time and you have to fly back until your visa is squared away? This is like 9 degrees of a mess right now. Like I said, we don't know what we don't know, and I will always say that. But with everything that we have seen, everything that we've seen with Minnesota United, to me, they are the wooden spoon leader in the clubhouse. And Emilio, yes, this is definitely a point that will be brought up with Kevin at 10 o'clock. How many players on the LAFC roster? We had 18, I think, at one point. Well, let's check with our friends at Transfermarkt and see what Transfermarkt has to say. And remember, Transfermarkt could be a mix of first team and second team. So we'll see what LAFC is listed as in Transfermarkt right now. So we will see. That's what happens when you don't put a space in between what you got. Oh, come on. Where's LAFC in Transfermarkt? And this is not nice. So it's like you try and search for something and it doesn't want to help you out. LAFC Transfermarkt. So, and this is the beautiful part, once again, of doing live radio and live TV. It's like, okay, where is LAFC in Transfermarkt? That's all I want. I just want LAFC in Transfermarkt. I want to see just how many. Los Angeles FC. That would be why you can't. Because I went to LAFC and Transfermarkt's like, nope, that's not their name. All right, so 20. Apparently, the squad size, Emilio, to your point and to your question, is 20. Oh, Minnesota, absolutely. Vancouver actually has some offense, Dell. Dell's asking, Who's worse, Vancouver, Minnesota? Vancouver's got some talent. Vanni Sartini's got some talent. They are going to be sneaky, and they're going to be hovering around. I want to say it's like 7. They'll make the playoffs, I think. Yeah, Nile helping us out here. Ryan Gold, Brian White, Minnesota's Pukki, Reynoso, and then other than that, you don't see it. Right there with you. So 20 players to answer your question, Emilio. 20. 2-0. Most teams have like 30. Messi and friends had 38 at one point. LAFC has 20. Match day tomorrow at 4:30. And we can do this quick. I mean, literally, we can do this quick. Lloris, Abraham Romero in net. Aaron Long, Jesus Murillo, Eddie Segura, Lorenzo Della Valle, who's an LAFC 2. He's a 19-year-old. Omar Campos, who came from Santos Laguna. Ryan Hollingshead, Sergi Palencia, Ilie, Atuesta, who came back from Palmeiras. Timothy Tillman, Eric Duenas, who spent some time coming through their system. So he's a 19-year-old, very young player, very talented player, has some promise. Bogish, Buanga, Bajung Darbo, who is 17, probably an LAFC tour. Christian Oliveira, David Martinez, Tomas Angel, Nathan Ordaz. That's it. That is it. 20, 2-0. 2-0 players, LAFC. That's what we're looking at. That was a rather elongated opening kickoff, and I apologize for that. But we went down the roster rabbit hole, and we have some questions in the Western Conference. Kevin Egan joining us at 10 o'clock, and we will discuss things there. But since it is 9:30, a little after 9:30, on time as always, I'm the one who's always running late. It's time for the Friday Free Kick with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring, and that means we get to roll an open and bring in somebody to talk about it. Greg Garza.
Good morning.
Man, it is pre-match day 1. Are you celebrating appropriately as someone who follows Atlanta United? How are you celebrating match day 1?
I don't have Apple TV, so I won't be able to watch the games. But
it'll be on the free side. It's because it's a 2:00 start.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, it's a 2:10 start. So
this is tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh man, I'm at soccer tournaments all day with the kids, so I'll be paying attention to Foot Mob app for sure.
Okay, so it is all over the place. So it is at 2:00.
The only one I'll be able to watch all year. I'm not going to be able to watch.
Oh crap!
Besides the home games.
Oh wait, so they shifted it. So you're good. You can listen to Mike and Jason on 92.9 while you're at soccer. It's apparently shifted to Apple TV. Perfect. So it's all straight up Apple TV. Just listen to Mike and Jason.
Oh, it's all straight up Apple TV. I was going to say, yeah, I don't know if there's any free ones anymore.
Yeah, there are a few, and they're I think later in the weekend. But
okay.
All right, so 92.9. Listen to Mike and Jason. You got it covered. They start at 1:00 and they go all the way through. So kickoff at 2:10 Eastern time.
Will do.
When it came to when you were getting ready as a player, getting ready for that first match day of the new season, what was the anticipation like for you? How did you, I guess, stay jazzed and stay under control and be as ready as you could getting ready for match day 1?
Yeah, Mike and I actually talk about this a lot. Just about kind of getting away, shifting your mindset away from the game, I think is big time. I think I've given an example of like even the championship game or most games for me, game day or the match day analysis for me was, or just kind of routine and rituals was just kind of getting away from things, just doing normal things throughout my day until there's a moment to where you have to switch on and kind of gear that focus into, something where you're locked in and ready to go. But besides that, within the morning, just really taking it easy and focusing on regular things that you would do throughout your day. And I apologize for exterior and external sound today. I'm at my parents' house and my kids are just waking up. So
absolutely fine. Hey, if they want to make a cameo while you're there, don't hold them back. That's the beautiful part about this show. So then when you talk to your mentees about game day and about control and staying within themselves, what are those conversations like? Are they all naturally like amped up and totally just want to dive in with both feet and be 120% like from minute one? Or do you have those that understand the idea of control, or is it a mix when you're talking to your mentees?
You mean going into the game, or you mean
Yeah.
like, yeah? I always tell people, and I always tell kids my question to them is, what's the difference between the first minute and the last minute? And most kids' answers will be, well, the first minute I have to kind of, take a little slow, adapt to the game, get to know the opponent a little bit more. And I totally disagree with that. I think there is no difference between the first minute and the last minute. It's still the same game. So if you're confident enough to take a risk and kind of willing to have that creative mindset just as much as you would in the last minute, you should have in the first minute. And that's what great players do. I'm sure Thiago Almada will take a 35-yard shot outside the box within the first 30 seconds if he has the opportunity, as much as he would in the very last second of the game to win the game or a game-winning goal. So those are what great players do. Great players know their talent level and know their strengths to be able to really put those into play from the very get-go.
And how long did it take you to understand that message that you are now presenting about there being no difference in treating each minute equally, whether it's 137, 72, or 90? How did you develop it in that mindset?
Yeah, I think there's two different things, because you can always talk about like small victories leading to bigger challenges, and I always talk about my mentees with that, but I think that's more of like a confidence builder throughout the game. When you have smaller victories within the game, whether it's making a good tackle or making just a right pass or all these different things, that's your build up to that ultimate confidence. But when you go into the game, I think even for me, it was, if I had time and space within the very first minute of the game. I mean, I can recall a game playing in Chicago in 2017, and I believe I think we lost that game. I want to say 3-1 maybe. But I think that was one of the few games that we lost. I don't know how we lost against Chicago that year, though. But goodness gracious,
Traveling to Bridgeview is not traveling
yes,
to the Loop.
yeah. But I think for or maybe it was 2-0. I think Nikolic had both goals when he won the golden, or what do they call it? Did they call it golden boot anymore?
Yeah, golden boot.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll call it golden boot.
Yeah, we'll call it golden boot. But I just recall that game from the very get-go. I had time and space within the first minute, and I made a cross to Yamil Assad, an early cross, and I think Yamil had a tap in and he should have scored it. But that was the first minute of the game, right? And that's the kind of mindset that you have to go into. And I'm sure I could probably recall a lot of other games to where it's very similar, but I knew my biggest asset within my game was if I had time and space and I could whip in a wicked cross, then why not, right? That's what you trained all week for. That's what you do bring to the table. That's what you contribute to. And if you're able to show that in the very beginning, then hooray for you, right? Kudos to you to be able to have that mindset. So I think it's really important for kids to know that.
When it comes to this will be the Atlanta United question. I won't save it to the end. When you look at Atlanta United this year, what do you think? I think the Eastern Conference is crazy, first and foremost.
Yeah. This is it's a I think what's the game that we all played in kindergarten to where you would have to I think you'd have to stick your hand in this bag and you don't know what color gem you would get.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yeah, because they do that on Price is Right. It's like stars.
Yes.
Yeah, where you go. I know which one you're talking about. Basically,
this was like one of the very first computer games, and maybe somebody from the comments will remember it. But it's like you have to stick your hand and you have to get a color gem. I think you had to match certain things along the way.
Right.
That would be my definition of Atlanta United this year. I don't know what color gem we're gonna get. I don't know how many we're gonna match up. But if we are able to, then I think you have a really good year. But It just depends on kind of matching all those gems up. I think we do have a lot of gems within the team. We have a lot of great players and a lot of great talent. But I mean, I can just look back at when I played for Atlas, right? I didn't play much because of my injury, but every single guy on our team was starting on their national team, and we had a terrible year. And I'm not saying that's going to be what Atlanta United is, but I'm just saying that when sometimes there's much more that's under the surface, of understanding the chemistry and the bonds that you have within it all.
All right. So Ardell, who watches from Charleston, South Carolina, says, do you still play it all? And would you play in TST?
I did pick up for a little bit. And just the body is not where it used to be. I think I can still perform. But no, I have been asked to play a lot on a lot of different teams for TST, and there's no way. No, thank you. I like anytime I would play pickup or anything, it would be for absolute fun and not competitive whatsoever. So I'm still a very competitive person when I play baseball outside with my kids and two-hand touch and never let them beat me. But actually playing against other adults in something competitive, no, thank you. I did that way too long.
No doubt. One of the things that has been a topic that you and that I've wanted to discuss here in this segment is your take on the four selves. And it's been something that we've kind of glossed into. Last time you were on, you gave the headlines, and it's one of your key distribution points, I guess, one of your key phrases and one of your key thought patterns when it comes to mentoring. And so I wanted to get the four selves finally on the table and discuss it this morning because I thought it was a really cool thing that you do and break down the four selves as a part of your whole mentoring experience.
Yeah, let's do it. I have a few sessions today, and I will most likely use it on a lot of the kids. It's my favorite exercise that I think we've created, particularly for me, most definitely. And I apologize again for the dog.
It's all good.
But I think it was these four selves were not something that I came up with. These are something that were given to us by the U.S. Soccer head scout for youth, who was a coach of mine when I was a kid with the under 15 national team, and kind of saw me grow as a player and go through the whole entire U.S. soccer system, and then ultimately have success there as well. But I decided to create an exercise with it. And it allows, and I think it's great for team bonding. We use it with our teams now. It allows people and players to be interactive and understand the value of each and every self, and gives them a chance to kind of really understand what these selves mean to them and how it can apply to them. And I always tell them these four selves you need, and if you are going to be successful in absolutely anything that you do, and it doesn't matter whether it be soccer, it can be school, it can be anything. So first and foremost, the selves, I believe I gave them to you last time. You have self-belief, self-discipline, self-assessment, and self-regulation. Those are the four selves, and I always go within that order right there. So self-belief, self-discipline, self-assessment, and self-regulation. Okay. And so I'll usually ask every player for them to paraphrase. They have to paraphrase what self-belief means without using the word belief or believe in their paraphrase. And we'll always work together. One second, Bubba. we'll always work together, coming up with as many as we can. All right, well, we have somebody who wants to say hi.
It's all good. Bring them in.
Say hi, Bubba.
Hi.
Hey, your dad is making me smart.
Okay, go with Gingy. So anyway,
so with self-belief, if I was to say having faith in myself 24/7, 365.
There you go. Right. So one example there is I just even breaking it down, right? Faith in your talent. Right. And so you can take that in so many different ways, right? It's like if there's a kid who I know might have a religious background and I know that they're religious, right? And I can be able to build on that with that faith, right? It's like, God has given you a talent, right? And he has faith in what he's put into your body and your talent. So why wouldn't you be able to have faith in that as well? Something that I think sticks out to me is just trust in your ability, right? So having trust in your ability, that's another thing, that's self-belief. You trust in the ability, right? Another thing that kids come up with, and you and I would come up with just as many as we can. Some kids say just pure confidence, right? Pure confidence. Other kids might say the ability or willingness to take risks. That's self-belief, right? When you have self-belief, you'll take risks. You can say willingness to make mistakes. Doesn't matter if you make mistakes, you still believe and have trust in your ability. You have faith in your talent, all these different things. You can build back into what it truly means. I've gotten some with some basketball players who will most likely go to a D1 school, but kids that we mentor in other sports. And it's so interesting to see what they say as well. So a basketball player, a PG, a point guard that I speak to in Atlanta, and he'll most likely go D1. But he said, whenever I have self-belief, I think of, my paraphrase is, take over. And I love that. I was like, man, that's great. And then he gave me another one. He was like, flow state. And I was like, man, that's great. Most kids don't even know what flow state means, right? And just the utmost concentration and focus that you have your blinders on. You don't hear anybody, no fans around, nothing else. You don't hear your parents, you don't hear your coach. Everything is just, you're so focused on what you have to do. And so those are just examples of just self-belief. And we'll usually come up with 10 different phrases, right? The kid and myself will come up with 10 different phrases, and I'll have them write it down, right? These are things that they're writing down just within self-belief. And then we'll move on, and then we'll go into self-discipline. Self-discipline is a great one because the cool thing is they don't know yet, but self-discipline is directly connected to self-belief, right? Once they come up with all these self-discipline of, creating good habits or creating routines or doing what's right, or making the right decisions, willing to do the extra, put in hard work ethic, all these different things that they come in with self-discipline, you allow them to realize, well, man, if I do all of those things throughout my week, if I do all those things at all times, then heck yeah, I should have trust in my ability. Heck yeah, I should have faith in my talent. That's the coolest thing about it, is that these kids start to realize that they're coming up with their own paraphrases of what they believe is correct within those four selves. And that's what it's all about, right? And then you can break into, self-assessment, which I love, because most kids at all ages, and even us as adults, right, we usually point the finger. And I always tell them, man, I'm guilty of this, of being, even as a pro, where after the game, I'd be like, oh my gosh, dude, like Parky had such a crap pass, man, that one play, and just like completely. And you can use their lingo, right? And kids' lingo these days is, man, Parky was trash. Parky sold the game. Parky sold. And that's kids' lingo these days. He sold it. And every single one of them would be like, oh my gosh, like you could just see it in their face. I do that all the time, right? And I use the greatest example of Michael Jordan, right? One of the greatest athletes to ever play is, after the game, he wouldn't go in and point at Scottie Pippen and be like, dude, you played like trash. You sold the game at the very end. He would stay on the court. And he would do any practice right after the game, right? Wouldn't even go into the locker room, wouldn't go point fingers. He'd focus on what he could do to get better and what he could do to improve, what he could do best to help the team the next game, or even himself. At the end of the day, the whole exercise is to help them understand that the most important person in the room at all times is themselves, and not in a selfish way, in a humble way, in a pride way, in a confident way, but just to guide them towards focusing on that. Because one of the things that this scout told me is that, great teams are made up of even better individuals. And I love that phrase, right? Because for you to have a great team, each and every individual on that team has to be, top notch. They all have to have these four selves within themselves, right? To be able to give to the team. And so I think, that's super, super important within that self-assessment as well. And then you move on to the self-regulation. And it's just helping them understand, right? What sometimes with most kids, it's just helping them understand what regulate means, right? What is regulation? What is control? What is finding a balance? What is all these different things that go within regulation? And you get so many cool and wicked answers that are that make me learn as well. Because some of these kids are so smart, man. And sometimes I'll have my mom visiting, or I'll be here and I'll be doing the exercise, and my mom would just look at me and she'll be like, "Oh my God, like these kids are so smart. They're super intelligent." So it's really fun watching a lot of these kids come up with their own phrases.
Well, and you mentioned self-regulation, and when it comes to self-discipline, self-assessment, one of the things that I know that we all do, and we even do it as adults, is sometimes, we'll point the finger outward, but I think a lot of times we'll point the finger inward, and too much pointing inward unnecessarily. It's like we'll put too much of the burden on ourselves in a team, if in a team event and something happens and we take it too personally. I think that there are times when that happens. How do you regulate or gauge when someone is pointing at themselves when it comes to self-assessment, and they're pointing at themselves too harshly, to have them understand that you can do that, but there's a balance in pointing at yourself and doing it too hard to where it's detrimental to your growth?
And that's where they come into pairs, that self-belief and self-discipline. And you even just gave your own answer, is that the self-assessment and the self-regulation also come into a pair, right? It's okay to be hard on yourself, but there has to be a sense of regulation. There has to be a sense of control, not too much, but into a way to where you are always improving. And I think that's where we get to use a lot of our other slides and a lot of our other things that we use within our exercises, is that the pathway to success will have those divots, they'll have those plateaus, they'll have those dips, they'll have those mountains and valleys you have to either go down or climb up. And that's where your control and your regulation, I think, comes into play. And then I'll usually ask them, like, what are the things that you can control, right? What are the controllables? What does that mean? And it allows them to also kind of, make another tab and write those things down. And it just serves as a reminder, right? I think it ultimately serves as a reminder for them to just have internally, but also something that they have on a piece of paper, whether it's in their phone. And I always just continue to reiterate, right? These are not things that I've come up with. These are things that the head scout of U.S. Soccer, these are the only things that he looks for. He could care less how talented you are, right? Because talent, a lot of people have. A lot of people have a lot of talent, but not everybody has these four selves. And so, I always make them understand that, these four selves have nothing to do with soccer, but they have everything to do with soccer, right? And it's not being an elite player. It's about being an elite person, right? Having an elite personality is so much more valuable than being really good at something. And those four selves are people who have elite personalities. And the coolest thing for me at the end of every time that we speak about it is that I always ask them, if let's say, I know your dream, right? I know everybody wants to be a professional soccer player, right? But, between you and I, we can be very honest, and we know that we know that percentage, right? So it's I asked them, well, what else would you like to be in life, right? And some kids will say, well, I want to be an engineer, or I want to be I want to be this, or I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to, and I ask them to go over each and every self again. And I tell them, because you and I are giving all these different things, all these different examples and these paraphrases within on the things with on the field, right? And now I want you to look at it from a different lens, from a different perspective. What if you want to be an engineer and you want to invent something really cool, or build something really cool, or something that's going to change the world? Think about how these four selves come into play for you. You still need to have self-belief. You have to trust in your ability. You're going to have discipline for you to be successful within that realm. You need the self-assessment to be honest with your performance, or be honest with what you're making over and over again. And then you have to regulate those, like you said, those emotions, the behaviors, all these different things that come into play there as well.
One of the other things that you mentioned, and it's been an underlying point in a lot of our conversations, has to do with habits and setting habits and locking them into place. And we're not just talking about when you're out there at practice or when you're doing drills in the backyard or banging a soccer ball off the side of the house. It's when you get up in the morning and something as simple as making your bed every single day to get you off on that right foot of completing a task out of the blocks as a habit and creating good habits wrapped around that idea.
And what you just said right there is something I ask every single mentee if they make their bed. I would say 7 to 8 out of 10 don't.
Wow.
But I think after we have those conversations, I can guarantee you they probably start making their bed. Because I always tell them, I think, and Parky is like the 0.0001% that doesn't make his bed, because I roomed with him before, and I know that's just something that he doesn't do. And I think that comes from his wife. Because I think one time we visited a long time ago, and we took a tour of his house or whatever in Atlanta. They had redone everything, and she said, "Hey, we don't make beds. What you came out of is what you crawl back into, right? It's perfectly fine. Everything else was like unbelievably clean and very perfect. But the one thing that stuck out was, and I'll always remember, it was just beds not made. But I always tell kids, I said, don't look at Parky and think it, because he's extremely organized and has great routines. But I always say, I think 99.99% of pro soccer players and pro athletes probably make their bed. And I just think it has everything to do with what you said. Creating good routines and good habits leads to, I know if this guy makes his bed, that he's most likely to stay after practice and do a stretching exercise that's going to help him, right? Because he's starting off in a great way. And I know those good habits lead to great habits on the field. And I even use, and most kids by now have seen the David Beckham documentary, and I think you and I have talked about it before, right? Is how OCD he was and how kind of crazily clean he was, which was insane to me. I mean, I did a lot of those similar things but I mean, he was just completely over the top. But it just made me think while I was watching it, I was like, man, that has everything to do with him on the field as well. I guarantee you he has great habits in the locker room, or great habits with understanding what is right for his body, et cetera, that probably made him as successful as a player that he was. So I think it's good kind of using those examples for kids to understand and realize that those things can make them better.
All right, 2 more questions because we got you to the top of the hour.
Yep.
Kevin Egan coming in behind you to talk about MLS season. What's going on with the Beyond Goals right now and mentees? And because we're in the heart of high school soccer season and getting ready for the pros. What's going on with you?
Yeah, we have spoken to quite a few high schools. If anybody has kids in high school and wants to come speak in Atlanta or either virtual, we love doing it. It's a great way to kind of build team camaraderie within their own team. And also hear from 2 guys who have had a lot of experience and been able to change the mindset of a lot of kids out there. And then we have our first video defenders workshop this Sunday for kids of all ages, and will be a recorded Zoom call, but also a Zoom call where it'll be live. So we have quite a few kids that are all signed up and registered for that, and it'll be it doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter what age. We're going to go through so many different clips that will be awesome. Just kind of get the basics, because I think you go through your team trainings, and sometimes you don't get that kind of individualized and personalized way of how to look at the game differently, or just how to learn certain things. Whenever I became a defender, I didn't know what the heck defending was. I never had done it. And I became a defender as a pro. So it's, one of those things that if you take the time and you start to kind of watch clips and watch games and watch other great defenders, or sometimes other defenders make mistakes, which is cool because we'll implement both of those things. And we'll give time for some feedback with those kids. What do you think went wrong here? What do you think? And it allows them to kind of build that soccer IQ. So this is a new idea that we came up with, and we'll probably do it every week. But our first one is this Sunday, so we're looking forward to it.
All right. So then your last question might come from Kevin Egan. Kevin Egan.
Kev.
What's up, Greg?
Top of the morning for you, buddy. You're too busy traveling to New York.
Huh?
Yeah,
You eat
you're
your Lucky
already.
Charms over there or what?
I was doing a lot of traveling right now, but I mean, you're probably already diamond medallion for 2025, huh?
Yeah. That's the truth. I do value my diamond medallion status.
Yeah,
So
there
I'll tell
you
you
go.
that much. How
There
are you
you go.
keeping?
All as well. How about yourself, man?
Yeah, good. Excited to take off to New York today and
There you
kicking
go.
off the new role hosting MLS 360
That's
on Apple
awesome,
TV.
man.
So buzzing to get going with that tomorrow.
Congrats, man. Congrats, man. That's
Cheers.
awesome stuff. I'm happy for you, man.
Let's catch a game this year. Let's get to one of those Sunday Atlanta United games,
That
please.
sounds good to me, man. I might have my kids, and I just go to the game so I can walk around with my youngest, who just appeared in the show a little earlier ago. But we probably it's so funny because I'll always go back and forth from whether it's the bathroom, get more Sour Patch or popcorn, or find Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Not on Sunday, but I always feel like the security guard. He always. I think in the very beginning they're always like, man, this poor guy. Like, this guy, all he does is just take his youngest son and walk back and forth up and down the stairs. And then I think once people start taking pictures with me, he then realized, and I always tell him, dude, don't worry, man. I've seen way too many games. I'm okay with doing this, because I think he's probably thinking, man, this poor dad, he's missing the whole entire game. And he's like, look, I always tell him, look, man, I'm here for these little guys, man. These guys watch. I don't need to watch any more games, man. I'll go home and watch some baseball tonight. So
Love it.
It's always fun, man.
Love it. Well, delighted the family are well. John, sorry, we're having our own chat here.
It's apologies, all good, brother. No, it's Beyond Goals Mentoring at BG Mentoring, the Friday Free Kick with Greg, and Greg is going to go now have breakfast with the family because he's
we had early morning donuts this morning, man. So we're good.
Parental units. All right, Greg, we'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks. Be well, my friend.
Take care, you guys.
Cheers, Greg.
See you later, bud.
Greg Garza. He's saying 9:30. It's either you come on and it's either Garza or Parkey on an alternating week basis. We talked about everything going on with Beyond Goals Mentoring, and get to catch up with them. And it was a great conversation this morning. And so, by the way, that's Kevin Egan, who is now with us, the new host of MLS 360 on Apple TV. Oh, question from the Twitch pitch, by the way. Ropes wants to know if you can help get Greg Garza Apple Plus TV, because he doesn't have Apple Plus.
It's not my problem, John. Greg's a big boy. He can figure it out, you know? Anyone else out there struggling to get it?
I mean, I struggle to log in. I've got it, but I struggle to log in. Of course,
did you see how I logged in today? The audio's working.
Yeah.
I mean, it just jumped in and everything's working fine. It wasn't the case with Longshore the other day. I'll say that.
Oh, man. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, sir. I think you need one of these in your office, as a matter of fact. Do you not have one of these in the office there?
You ask me every time I'm on, John, about the scarf.
Yeah.
I don't have it. No.
Well, then text me your address and I'll send one to you. I'll get it done.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And we also, by the way, we have a Marshall Islands Soccer Federation fundraiser going on, too. So we are doing scarves for the Marshall Islands. The last country on the planet to have a national soccer program. So we're doing a fundraiser, too.
Very cool.
So how completely and totally excited, jacked, and over the moon are you about flying to New York and doing this MLS 360 thing?
Pumped. Honestly, I know it's cliche and I know it sounds a bit ridiculous to say, but this is my dream job. This is it. I mean, in studio, bouncing between the games, all the goals, the action, the red cards, yellow, whatever the storylines may be, for us to be able to bring that energy and enthusiasm and knowledge, hopefully, and have the fans along with us and just make it a fun show. That's the goal here. There's so much going on. We've 8 games tomorrow between 7:30 Eastern kickoffs, 4 at 8:30, and then there's one later on, a nightcap at 10:30. But we've got some good games, some brilliant storylines, and I'm just so excited and honored to be in that chair.
When it comes to storylines, I know obviously numero uno has to do with Messi and friends. And we talk about them, and they survived on the midweek going up against RSL. They look like a tired bunch, say 65th minute. But, when you're globetrotting the way that you are, you got a lot of old legs and old dudes, and that might be something folks look at this season.
Yeah, their average age is over 30 in their squad, which is wild to think about. Like Suarez 37, Messi 36, Busquets 35, Alba 34. Tata's job this year is incredibly difficult. Like what cards he decides to play will ultimately determine how this team do, because Suarez played 89 minutes on Wednesday. 89 minutes. And it looked nearly sore watching him play in those final moments. But he obviously decided, I want to stay in. And maybe he's talking to Tata saying, I'm good. But they've got Leo Campana, a top class player sitting on the bench that's raring to go, that will give you so much in terms of his legs and his ability to get in behind. And he'll create space for Messi. But Messi and Suarez are best buds, and they have a telepathic relationship that will lead to so many goals this season. I just think that balance will need to be struck for Tata for them to ultimately have success, which I don't think they'll do in the regular season. I think they're going to really struggle at many points throughout the regular season, given international competition, players leaving. They may need to offload one or two players, has been well documented, before the end of the window. So I'm massively intrigued by this storyline, but I do think there's 1,000,001 other storylines throughout Major League Soccer that are also fascinating beyond the Miami.
No doubt. We were getting into it this morning. Western Conference stuff. I know obviously we'll get you for another 15 minutes. We'll end with Atlanta United and Columbus. We'll get into Atlanta United at the end of the segment. When it comes to Western Conference, we were discussing Minnesota United and what in the wide world of sports has been going on there. They might have a new coach. It's close to being official at 32, and he's going to be showing up after Manchester Derby. We don't know about his visa. LAFC's got like 20 players. They need to like bring dudes up from LAFC too. What are what are like 2 through 5 when it comes to your other storylines this season that you're staring at?
I think Dallas, when you're talking simply West for now, for me, Dallas look like a really good team that are going to surprise many this season. Estevez is going with a 3-4, looks like a 2-1 system with Musa will lead the line. I don't think he's available for week 1 due to visa issues. But Ferreira can really be at his best, I think, in that removed role off Musa, in the same way he played with, say, Pepe years ago. At the back, Tafarai's become a real leader for them. Pais in goal is a really good MLS goalkeeper. But it's in midfield where I'm most curious, because Pomical and Iaramendi have both had similar stories of injury derailing their career throughout their time so far. Iaramendi's much older. Pomical's still only 34. If they can stay fit and healthy, that's a duo that I think could really, really strike balance in MLS. And Pomical could be that all-action number 8. Iaramendi's a ball-playing, beautiful, deeper-lying midfielder. And then in Sealy and Areola out wide, they've got really attack-minded wingbacks. Kamungo, Ferreira in behind Musa. That's a winning combination for me with the talented coach Inigo Estevez. So keep an eye on Dallas. I would say, obviously, LAFC will be there or thereabouts, looking to create a bit of history, hitting back-to-back MLS Cups, first side since New England, if they can do it. If they can do it is a huge question mark, because Seattle have also improved, I think, this offseason and have that continuity with Brian Schmetzer. So in the East, there's where do we go with the East, John? It's so stacked, stupidly stacked. And every time I think, okay, this is a team that'll drop down, I do a bit more research and I think, I don't know. Like the Philly Union, for example. You win the East in 2022, you drop to 4th in 23, and they don't sign pretty much anyone. Nope. So you're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you remaining stagnant in this moment? But then you hear from Jim Curtin, and when he talks about the system that they play, the identity that they have, how they're comfortable being uncomfortable without the ball, and the fact that their academy trains that way and produces the players that way. And when he talks and he beams about a player like Quinn Sullivan coming through, that makes you believe that maybe they know what they're doing over there in Philadelphia. And maybe they're ready to strike this season, especially with Carranza banging in the goals already this campaign. So I do think they'll probably be there or thereabouts in 4th or 5th place. But it's the teams that, and I'm sorry for rambling on in tangents here, I'm just so excited for this damn season to start.
I know, dude. That's why I wanted to bring you in. And we're trying to put 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag in 20 minutes.
There's teams like the Red Bulls, which Fort's coming in, and Forsberg, but can Van Zer become a clinical finisher? And if he becomes that predator, this, for me, is a side that you really could see challenge for a top 4 place in the East. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but when you consider the top-class keeper that they have, an international caliber keeper in South America, the back 4, one of the best defenses in the league last year, and talent coming through a fullback. Midfield, Edelman and Maya, nothing to worry about there. Forsberg pulling the strings. Van Zeer's the big question mark. Van Zeer, and they do have belief in Elias Manuel, who's still a very young player. They can prove to be a good team. NYCFC, Mijatovic, I think, is going to prove to be maybe a newcomer of the year or one of the top young strikers. He's only 18, from Serbia, sees the progress of players like whether he's had compatriots that have come here from Serbia and done really well. Petrovic being one of them at New England that's moved on. Jovalic, another one out in LA. So he sees MLS. He said as much as a benchmark to launch his career. But he's like a Wayne Rooney figure as a striker. He's all action, great left foot. Excited to see him play. And then Montreal, the most intriguing team for me heading into 2024. And I think Montreal is a side that sometimes gets forgotten about. But Montreal under Laurent Courtois will be Nancy Ball on steroids, from what I'm hearing. They're going to ask an awful lot of Jonathan Sirwa, their 22-year-old goalkeeper, to play higher up the field. But they have talent everywhere. And they've got, like Dallas for me, a very similar system. We're expecting a 3-4-2-1 or 1-2 for Montreal. It could be Martinez and Kakaro to start together up front, or a Poku in behind with Yankov, their new playmaker. And I think in Huan and Lapalainen, the talent they have in midfield, this could be a sneaky team in the East this season. So what does that mean for Atlanta United? It means, I think, that in the East, teams are going to be taking points off each other all the time, making a Supporter Shield candidate from the East even more difficult. Whereas you could see a Seattle, LAFC, or even Dallas challenge for the Supporter Shield out West.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle with the De La Vega signing, I know that you're looking at newcomer of the year there as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing Seattle. Portland is intriguing because of the coaching change and how things are going to, how the keys turn over there when you start that car.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm St. Louis for me, all caps. That one for me is intriguing, and so is Cincinnati, the two teams that finished on top last year. All caps because, okay, you're a first-year club, you're in this Red Bullsian system, and then you got exposed in the playoffs because a one-off, you can kind of take advantage of folks in the regular season. But a best of three, you're having to face the same thing over and over again. St. Louis got found out. How do they respond to year two? I think that Berkey is probably going to be challenged a lot more this season than he was last. Cincinnati, Barrial wants out.
He's gone.
No Brandon Vasquez.
Yeah.
That probably puts more pressure on Lucho Acosta to get things done, and probably by default as an MVP candidate if Cincinnati is going to repeat and do what they did. When it comes to the folks that were up top, whether it's a Pareja with the purple team, with Cincinnati or St. Louis, or any of those folks that were up top high last year, what are you looking at?
I think Sasha Kleshin, my buddy on 360, has Orlando winning the Supporter Shield and winning MLS Cup.
Wow.
He thinks they're that good, and I don't disagree with him. I think they've added in really key areas. There's some question marks for me on Orlando. It's not with the goalkeeper, and it's not with the back four, and it's certainly not with the two in central midfield in Araujo and Cartagena. Further forward, where does Martin Ojeda fit in this lineup? Now, with Nico Ladero is playing some great stuff and available, and he's become, apparently from people I've chatted with that are part of the team in Orlando, he's been an infectious presence in this team. You add Luis Muriel and his compatriot Oscar Perez as his coach. Can he get a tune out of Muriel, who is a ridiculously talented footballer? Yeah. I think that they're pretty stacked. Angulo sticking around. You're expecting Facu Torres to produce. This is a good team, and they're comfortable with how they play. It's a pragmatic style. It's a robust style, but it's kind of who they are now. There's a part of me with the players that they have that wants to say, "I'll go on, play a bit more," but this is who they are, and they finished second in the Supporter Shield race last year, and they've improved. I'm not sure Cincinnati have improved. Yeah, they get miles, but Mosquera was outstanding last season. And further forward, I'm not sure they've improved either. Let's see how Buca is in midfield. Apparently a very good player, but Junior Moreno was their best passer. I think when you talk about St. Louis, John, they're very comfortable with who they are.
Yeah.
They still have a talented team. The spine of their team is very, very good. From, you mentioned Berkey and Parker and Leuven, I think if he can produce consistently, is one of the best midfielders in the league.
Right.
Klaus, excellent, injured a lot last season. Hopefully they have him fully fit. And then Adeniran is a player, Sam Adeniran, that Seattle disposed of, is a talent that has a soft touch, really, really good player that could produce and be a real surprise this season. So I think St. Louis will fall from first spot, but I absolutely think they'll challenge for a top four.
Teams that worry me for various reasons. Obviously, Minnesota United worries me right now. They're my wooden spoon contender just because they're on their second substitute teacher.
Yeah.
And you might have a coach and he might have his visa after the Manchester Derby. I swear half of me was sitting there thinking that if Eric Ramsey ends up being the guy, then the way things have been for Minnesota, it's like, yeah, he's still working on his visa. He'll be here after the Premier League season just because of the black cloud that's been hanging over Minnesota United. Toronto FC with Herdman. I don't know if his seat is instantaneously warm just because of the chaos that's going on up there from last season. Who are you looking at with the raised Kevin Egan eyebrow going into this season?
I think Charlotte's a curious one down the road here from Atlanta with Dean Smith. I mean, they play NYCFC in their opening game. It's fascinating to me because NYCFC last season came into the year very similar to the way Charlotte are this year, in the sense that they didn't have Sands, they didn't have Santi Rodriguez, they didn't have Munsef Bakrar, and they had a short squad that Nick Cushing was saying we need help, and they eventually got it, but it came at a cost. You know, a slow start to the season meant it came at a cost. I think when you look at what they're doing, though, there's a lot of emphasis being placed on Enzo Capetti. And Dean Smith can have a special relationship like he has with lone strikers in the past. Ollie Watkins is a great example. Tammy Abraham, Las Vibe, when he was at Brentford, produced for him too. And I think Dean Smith will simplify things. I've spoken to one or two people. One of the assistants there was saying how wonderful Dean Smith has been with the entire organization. And I think he's a people person, like Tata was in Atlanta. Dean is a people person that will get the best tune out of people. And so that's a really interesting game for me tomorrow, Charlotte, NYCFC. In terms of concerns, Minnesota, a concern. There's reports that Reynoso won't be available for the first game. Then elsewhere, I would say San Jose. I don't think they've added enough. They finished 9th last season, snuck in. They backed into the playoffs last year after a really good start. They have quality, but where's their creativity going to come from?
Yeah.
You know, Montero's not there anymore. They don't really have that creative 10. Espinoza provided last year, but he's a winger and he needs to be a goal scorer. Pellegrino promises the goals, but he's coming from Norway. And I want to see how that translates for a 33-year-old into Major League Soccer. And then Abobase's production totally and utterly dropped off last year with 10 goals, having 17 the previous year for San Jose. So question marks over the likes of San Jose, definitely Minnesota. Chicago, I do think their attack promises an awful lot with young Gutierrez, Shaqiri. Like Mueller should be good, but their midfield for me is sorely lacking. Even with Kellen Acosta, I do think more talent is needed in their central midfield.
Yeah, because it seems like Joe Mansueto is Scrooge McDuck. He's basically just like lighting money on fire and getting and throwing in people, and this is what you're getting in Chicago this year. Absolutely crazy. I know we've only got you for another couple of minutes. What's it like having a producer in your ear when you've got 8 games going on at once?
I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. We've got a new team. We've got some changes we're making to 360. I love organized chaos. I really do, and I want this to be a little bit chaotic. You know, I don't want to look at a teleprompter. I don't want to worry about a rundown, which is the essentially our show.
There with you, brother. It's like, I don't need a rundown as to who's going to be on. Just tell me where we're going, aim and shoot. Yeah. Let's fly.
Yeah. And we're going to be focusing on single games. Then we'll have goal alerts. So if there's a goal, say at Charlotte, we're like, I'll be telling Sasha, hey, pipe down, buddy. We're going to Charlotte. There's been a goal. Which way did it go? Did it fall for the crown or is it the visitors NYCFC? Yeah. Well, I don't know if we have a siren yet. I don't know. Like I'm on the fence about the siren.
Lower third siren. You know, it doesn't have to go or anything, but just kind of like a red alert or something.
Yeah. Like I do think that people will consume 360 potentially in their kitchen, making dinner. Like they'll have it on and they'll have us updating them on the night's action. So maybe a siren is a good idea where we've talked about it, in there. And maybe it's the sort of noise that will make them go, oh, hang on, I want to see the goal.
Or you have an air horn that you aim at Sasha. You sit there and go, whang,
big vuvuzela.
Yeah. Before we go, rapid fire. Emilio wants to know, will you miss play-by-play?
Oh, great question. I hope to still do some play-by-play. Thank you for that. It's a great question. And there was a couple of lovely tweets saying that, we'll miss you doing Atlanta United games. I hope that during the summer, Leagues Cup, for example, there's no 360. Come on,
Ooh.
stick me in the bends. Give me an Atlanta United game. That's the hope, anyway.
Get the man a home game. Pars comes in. Pars wants an Always Rising. And where did that start for you? They met you met Parzival once and never got to ask. Where did Always Rising?
What does that mean?
Always Rising.
I don't know what that means.
That's like, I'm guessing it was like from contact with the shot and the ball just keeps going and it's just
yeah, just one of those strikes that like never looks like it's going to dip.
Yeah.
Like a trajectory where if Mercedes-Benz wasn't a closed dome, it's going all the way in downtown Atlanta.
Yes.
That's a good question though. It's something I never really thought too much about.
Yeah, so it's always fun to catch up with you, my friend. You know that you've got golden ticket status. Any morning that you're bored,
Thanks,
you can text me and go, dude, I want in. And I'm texting you right now, by the way. And
Okay.
the text to you says, send me your address.
Okay.
So that way you can adorn the office appropriately. Kevin Egan, the new host of MLS 360 on Apple TV Plus, provided I can figure out how to log in here in Office HD. I'll be watching.
Hey, well, have you got Maddie Cruz working for you?
Yeah.
Maddie's the best.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Well, hang on. There's Maddie.
Where's Maddie? Let's get Maddie in here.
All right. So Maddie, Crash, get in here real quick.
Hey, how are you, Maddie?
I'm good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm good. Maddie has so much potential as a broadcaster and a great future in store. So I met Maddie when I was speaking with Kennesaw State University and the classmates, and tremendous talent coming through. So it's great you're working with John Nelson.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think I told them too one time. I was like, yeah, I met Kevin back in like 2022. Really? I think.
Probably. Yeah, probably
around that time.
Look,
but
she's running the morning show, Kevin. She is running the morning show now. She's doing play-by-play. She's got play-by-play tonight, as a matter of fact. She's doing color. She's, doing interviews and episodics and everything. Look, she's running the network right now, man. That's all that's going on.
That's class. Love to see it. But continued success, Maddie. John, thanks for having me on, guys. MLS 360, 7:30 p.m., Apple TV, MLS Season Pass. Please join us. Use the MLS 360 hashtag. Let us know any thoughts, any feedback, critiques. There could be some teething problems. Hope not, but there probably will be. That's the nature of what we do for the first few weeks. We want to get a good show on the air. So help us out if you can, folks. Love you. Thanks for having me.
Air horn for Sasha and BWP. That's what you need. We'll see you, brother.
Cheers, John. Cheers, Maddie. Take care, guys.
Right. There's Kevin. That's great to have Kevin on. Golden ticket holder Kevin Egan, where we get to talk about stuff, the official term. And the sound was amazing. We got this last time he was on his iPad, and it sounded like he was in like a room, which he was. But that's where we're at. But Kevin sounded fantastic. It was great to have Kevin on, as he's like leaving later today to go to New York to get ready for MLS 360. So that's what we're staring at. And,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So and Kevin does make a 360 must-watch TV.
Oh, absolutely. I know, at least like from my perspective, like I always loved the MLS 360. Me and my stepdad talked about this. Yeah. When they first brought it in last season, we always would get so upset because like we would want to watch other games, but like Atlanta United would be on, obviously. And so like that's the game we'd watch in our home. Yeah. But now like we can have that on, and then outside we can have MLS 360. And so it's like a back and forth where we can watch like all of it. And so I love it. And also too, like watching, like I've listened to Kevin do all play-by-play stuff all throughout when we were originally on, Bally Sports and everything like that. And so it's pretty cool getting to see, one of like our own kind of get to go up there and be the host. So it's pretty sick. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. All right. So let's go through the news of the morning really quickly before we get into Weekend Whiparound. So I'll try and do all the news that's fit to print in 7 minutes. And then we'll go into Weekend Whiparound, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. Tom Russo letting us know something that's going on in the world. So Doug Robertson at practice this morning says Gregerson becomes the third DP. All right, so there it is. Stian Gregerson becomes Atlanta United's third DP. And so it is now Giakoumakis and Almada. Saba's contract was structured so it could be bought down to help things out. So no real surprise. And so once again, Stian Gregerson now becomes the third DP for Atlanta United. Like I said, it makes sense that Saba's contract was structured so he could be bought down. So there you go. Gregerson becomes the third DP. Giakoumakis, Almada, and Gregerson. Those are your three DPs as we go. Stuff overseas before we get into Weekend Whiparound, where we go through all the matches and juice boxes and such. We do have Europa League and Europa Conference League grids. They're out for the final 16, and it looks like Europa League round of 16 draw. Liverpool at Sparta Prague, Villarreal Marseille, Brighton at Roma, Rangers Benfica, West Ham Freiburg, Atalanta at Sporting, Slavia Prague, not to be confused with Sparta Prague, is at AC Milan, and Bayer Leverkusen is at our friends Karabag out in one of the far eastern stands, Russian republics, where you'll have a kickoff at like 7:55 in the morning, and they play on a welcome mat. So that will be your early Europa League match on whatever days, the 7th and the 14th, I think, of March is when that's going to be. So that's the draw in full, March 7 and March 14. In Europa Conference League, Aston Villa drew Ajax. So it is Victoria Pilsen at Servette, Villa at Ajax, Club Brugge at Molde, Fenerbahce and Union Saint-Gilloise, PAOK Salonika, Dinamo Zagreb, Lille, Sturm Graz, Fiorentina, Maccabi Haifa, Maccabi Tel Aviv, and Olympiacos. Once again, 7th and the 14th are the last 16 first and second legs. The 15th of March is the draw. Then you get into the quarterfinals, April 11th and the 18th. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. Remember, the Gummy Bear Cup final is this weekend, and that is what you're staring at with Liverpool and Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Chelsea, Liverpool, Sunday afternoon, 10 a.m. kick. It's probably going to be on the Plus. So Jurgen Klopp happy to play with the kids and make sure that the kids can perhaps get him another title and help out with that. So Sunday afternoon, it is Sunday afternoon local time, so Sunday morning our time, Gummy Bear Cup final, and it will be Chelsea and Liverpool for the Carabao Cup. Oliver Glasner had his first press conference with Crystal Palace. On his impact, he says, "I'm not a magician." That means that folks have to be patient. I don't know if that's going to be happening. It's going to be a tough run for Crystal Palace heading into what we're staring at there. We'll go over an abbreviated juice boxes when it comes to Prem and Proper coming up in just a little bit. So we mentioned what's going on with teams. We've got the people's eyebrow about and other stuff from Tom Bogert, FC Cincinnati. Once again, Barreal is off to Cruzeiro on loan, signing Luca Orellano from Vasco da Gama. And that's so Barreal out, Orellano in. Expected to leave in the winter. Barreal was getting interest from Europe. And then because the Europe deals didn't happen, Barreal's like, I'm still not coming back. And so they found a loanee or a loaner in Cruzeiro. So Barreal to Cruzeiro, Orellano on loan from Vasco da Gama. So 1 in, 1 out, 1 year loan, initial fee, as well as a purchase option around $4 million. Purchase option would include a sell-on clause for Cincinnati. Another clause in the deal, according to Tom Bogert, stipulates if another club submits a bid greater than the value of the purchase option, that $4 million plus the sell-on, Cincy can terminate the loan and accept the deal. So there you go there. Timbers, latest with their DP, still searching for one, haven't finalized anything. They are linked to Club America's Jonathan Rodriguez, 30-year-old Uruguayan, 9 goals, 3 assists, and 23 appearances this season. Started for Cruz Azul and Santos Laguna before joining Club America. Ned Grabovoy's hoping to have a DP in the next 7 to 10 days. And so he also clarified Grabovoy, the club only has one unrestricted DP spot they can use at the moment, and that's earmarked for the forward search. Evander and Felipe Mora are the other 2 DPs in Portland. Chicago Fire, like I said, their owner, Joe Mansueto, in the front office, it's like Scrooge McDuck. We're throwing bucks all over the place, bringing folks in. They're looking at Hugo Kuipers. He started training this week. $12 million from Ghent. Another $2 million in add-ons, one of the most expensive inbound transfers in league history. Kuipers in, Acosta in for Chicago. We'll see. Joseph Paintzel, the third player to sign for LAG in this window. Gabriel Peck, Joseph Paintzel signed on Wednesday. $9 million, 2 months in the making, trying to get the deal done. Peck came in for 10. Paintzel came in for 9. And so now it is Peck, Paintzel, and Ricky Puig, the 3 DPs for LAG. Question about Luis Muriel and whether or not he was going to make his debut this week. Confident the purple team is, whether Muriel will arrive in time to make his debut on Saturday, but not a foregone conclusion. Signed from Atalanta, 68 and 28 and 184 appearances in his first 2 seasons with the club. Dallas is going to wait for Peter Musa, as Kevin Egan said. Once again, signed by Dallas from Benfica for 9.7 and another 3.3 in add-on 6 caps for Croatia. So that gets us to 10:30. And that means one thing. It's time to do the weekend whip around. Patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. We go through the juice boxes. We go through the matchups. We want to know what you think about these matchups themselves, and we'll see what happens. So, all right. Know that folks are commenting about, yes, Derek, Kevin, total legend, deserves a new gig. I love it. Like I said, I think that the contract for Saba was structured where he could be bought down. So correct. Right. Saba got bought down. He's now high TAM. That's my guess. My guess is, like I said, this is my guess. I don't have any intel about it, but my guess is that Saba's contract, it was structured to do something like this. So you can put one and one together in the same fishbowl and see if that is in fact what happens. But Saba's contract was structured to where he could be bought down to be high TAM. So that would be my guess as to how this turned us into roster compliant. And so Tom, now wondering if we are now suddenly willing to make a CB a DP. Why we didn't offer Miles that back then. Tom, what happened with Miles was you can only offer a contract that has a certain percentage of an increase, if I remember the structuring correctly. Miles had a number, and he was looking for a large number, but because of the salary constraints by Major League Soccer, it could only be like a 30% increase, and Miles was looking for a lot more than that. So when you have that number out there, Atlanta United did what they could do to try to keep Miles. They offered him the max TAM deal that they're allowed by the rules in Major League Soccer. It's like, hey, this is your deal. We can only offer you this times this, and we can't go any further because we're not allowed to. So they offered him a max TAM deal. Miles didn't want to take it. So Miles was of a mind that he wanted to challenge himself in the world marketplace, and he ended up in Cincinnati for a 1+1. But there's, like I said, Atlanta United has said from the absolute beginning, they offered him a high TAM deal. They could only offer him a salary increase of, I want to say 30% because of the rules. And 30% times the deal that he had at the time, Miles was apparently looking for more. Cincinnati could give him a deal in the neighborhood that he was looking for financially. So Atlanta United did what they were allowed to do under the rules. So that's where we were with Miles and the salary. So Miles wanted to test the waters. Miles ended up in Cincinnati because Cincinnati could get him, what he was looking for closer to financially. So that's where we are. And so Emilio, Stian was committed to stay here. Miles wasn't. No judgment made. CAF CCL is back today. Al Hilal is going to kick off at 11. So it's going to be a very busy day for us and with our remotes. Right. Although if and when Miles went to Europe, you'd get a DP back. Well, and like I said, whomever. Yeah. So Saba would have to be bought down, but that's just literally submitting paperwork. I don't think that that's anything that would sit there and go, oh no, we have to, we have allocation money on hand, take the salary, take that allocation money, go up against what we would have to do structurally. He's bought down, and then you're fine. So, it was part of the discussion with Miles when it happened, is that, in contracts, you're only allowed X number of percentage increase. And that was one of the things that I had seen in various reports in both Cincinnati, various folks up in Cincinnati and nationally that were saying that you could only have like a 30% increase in salary. That literally it's in the rules. And it was brought up at the time. Garth said he thinks, from Alex, Garth said he thinks Saba, Bart, and Stian is DP-like, so it's just a question of which makes the most sense to label based on whatever the situation is. Yeah, so, I mean, it's like they're all quality players. It's just because of the machinations of Major League Soccer, you have to have Sleesh as a TAM. Then you have to have Gregerson elevated. You get to elevate Gregerson to a DP. Saba is right there as well. So you've got all these quality players that just because of the designation, it's like, we like you all. It's just that we have to designate, it's like, you're a DP that, don't take it personally or whatever. It's like when you were in high school. It's like, well, you're in the brain clique, you're in the sports clique, those kinds of things, but we all like you the same. So, yes. And it is, yes, rules. What are those exactly? Dale from Tom Bogert. Yes. St. Louis, all caps sent me the note, by the way. All caps, and Luke Svanenstiel agreed to a long-term contract extension through 26. Two Saudi clubs had interest, but he wants to stay in St. Louis. The new deal makes that possible. Rules. What are those? And also, yes, Maddie brought this in. Hang on. So Tom has brought in a conversation from a couple days ago from Doug. Very close to cap max. Can't buy down Saba to create another DP slot. Only way for the team to create one is to sell one of the 3 DPs. There was a thought when I've shared that the team could buy down Saba to create a DP. Okay. So, like I said, my understanding is that the contract was structured to buy him down so everything could be compliant. So, like I said, that's the information that I had, going with what Doug had from 4 days ago. Close to cap max, can't buy down Saba to create another DP slot. So you restructure contracts. It can be done. You'll be compliant by the time you walk in the door. Jarrett's here to wrap up another week. And so we're going through, Jarrett, we're going through all the news, and we were about to do Weekend Whiparound when we got all of this stuff that is broken, where Gregerson is now the third DP, and everyone's trying to figure out the roster logistics of what's going on. And we knew yesterday Laurel Failer in Cincinnati had mentioned this about at the same time that Kai Wagner had been announced having a time served, basically. Matt Miazga, his suspension is now time served as well. Reduced by 1 game following a successful petition based on his continued commitment and compliance with a recommended treatment program overseen by Substance Abuse and Behavioral Health Program. So Miazga's 3 is now down to 2. He'll serve the suspension against Toronto FC, eligible to return against Chicago March the 2nd. So Miazga's 3 is now down to 2. Kai Wagner is now time served. So that's where we are.
Yeah, so the lesson here, kids, is not unlike the one you see at Kmart when you were a kid. If you bitch loud enough and long enough to mommy and daddy, you get what you want.
You get the icy, yeah.
Yeah.
You get the icy in the sub by the time
you complain long enough and loud enough, and you hold your breath and throw yourself on the ground, you get what you want.
Yep. That's where we are. All right, so it is time for Weekend
Whiparound. Park all weekend. I've seen some hell.
You've seen some things from the land of the purple team.
I came up with a brilliant invention at some point this week, though, where I'm going to take I'm going to modify somebody's stroller and put a combine harvester in the front of it and just take out Achilles tendons as I go through the crowd.
That's awesome. All right. So we have a little under half hour.
If Miazga goes into another locker room, if he goes after refs again, I don't know what you do as the baseline for that next suspension if he does it again, but it needs to be to the full extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because not only is it wrong, but he's an idiot.
Yeah, there's that.
We don't soften suspensions for stupidity.
No. Yes, until Miazga gets suspended again, Del. Exactly. All right, Weekend Whiparound. And our friends at Major League Soccer, traditionally, you know how we like to have the fun facts? We're a little slow on the fun facts. The league has not put out all of our fun facts when it comes to the review. All right,
I hate watch RSL dick trip their way through 90 minutes in the box against Miami this week. So
yeah,
whatever.
Yes.
Fun
so
facts, who cares?
Yeah.
We don't have fun facts. We have replacement refs. God only knows how this is going to go. It's very interesting watching a lot of people who were ready to burn most of our officials in a giant wicker man.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be interested to see how they deal with whatever the hell's about to happen.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. All right. So we'll save Atlanta and Columbus for last. 4:45 Eastern Time, LAFC and Seattle. This one is on the free TV side of things. This is part of Big FOX's reveal for the year. It's on Season Pass, Apple TV, and Fox on the free side at BMO Stadium at 4:45. So it is the Super Hyper Mega pregame show. We get to LAFC and Seattle. Juice boxes in this one, according to our friends in the Composite Odds portal. LAFC is at a minus 145. Your draw is a plus 279. Seattle a plus 393. Maddie, go.
Ooh, I like this one. I like it because they're both two big powerhouse clubs, and especially just starting out. Like each of them like have such a big thing. I mean, kind of like what Kevin was talking about earlier. Like, like they could be the front runners for, the Supporter Shield and even possibly the MLS Cup. I think it's pretty cool. I think starting out on a bang like that is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited.
All right. So who you picking?
Oh, it's at
LAFC.
LA. Oh, I'm going to go Seattle.
Okay. So she's going with the plus 393. Jarrett, go.
LAFC has like 15 players on roster, but one of them is Dennis Boyanga. So give me LAFC.
At a minus 145. All right, 7:30 begins Kevin's sojourn in MLS 360. Charlotte and NYC. Charlotte is a plus 127 at home against NYC. The draw is a plus 245. NYC on the road is a plus 206. Jess and Willie P on the call on radio on WFNZ. Maddie, go.
This, I honestly don't know about this one because I've made it abundantly clear. I'm not a huge fan of NYCFC. They're not my favorite team to watch, so I will always root against them. But I honestly don't know how Charlotte is going to perform. I'm excited to see what they do. I think from last season and going to this season, I think they'll have a better chance. But, it's hard. I'm going to go NYCFC. Even though I don't like them, I think they're going to win this one.
I think Charlotte's got more issues, and we'll see that at least coming out of the blocks with Dean Smith. Jarrett, what do you think?
Charlotte will be fine in the long run. I think it's going to take them some time to get there, though. So give me NYC in this one.
All right, NYC on the road. Also at 7:30, DC and the Revs at Audi. DC is a minus 104. Draws a plus 271. The Revs are a plus 256 on the road. Maddie, go.
Yeah, I'm going New England with this one. I haven't seen much of any sort of thing with DC this entire offseason. Like, I really, of all the news I've been hearing, I haven't heard a single thing from DC, so I have no idea what to expect from that side. I don't know what moves was made. Just with that, I mean, I think New England's going to take it.
So this is on the free side of Apple TV. Charlotte and NYC's on MLS Season Pass. So free side of Apple TV, DC and New England. Jarrett, what do you think?
New England.
No real surprise there. Also on the free side of Apple TV, it is Orlando, the purple team, hosting Montreal. Orlando a minus 161, draws a plus 308. Montreal is a plus 407. Maddie, go.
Oh my God, Orlando gets to see their favorite person ever in Joseph Martinez once again. Listen, I think it's going to be funny. I think it's going to be interesting too. I think Kevin brought up a good point, at least with Montreal. They have a lot of like hidden sort of gems, I would say. I think they have that stacked up, but I don't know. Orlando might be a problem this year. So I'm going to go Orlando.
I think so. Jarrett?
Orlando.
Yeah, no real surprise. The other match at 7:30, Philadelphia in Chester hosting Chicago Fire. And Scrooge McDuck FC on the road is a plus 394. Your draw is a plus 308. Philadelphia at home is a minus 156. Maddie, go.
It's going to be Philly. As much as I hate to say it, it's going to be Philly.
Jarrett.
Yeah, Philly.
8:30. 4 more matches for Kevin and the crew. Kevin, BWP, Sasha, and Kalen Kyle get to watch Austin and Minnesota United. Austin, a minus 106, draws a plus 285. Minnesota United on the road without a head coach is a plus 254. Maddie, go.
Listen, I mean, Minnesota might not have a head coach, but they have a really pretty jersey. So I'm going Austin.
All right. So, Jarrett, what about it?
The jersey would be so much better if you just put the wolves howling on it like you got at every roadside stop. Minnesota loses.
Yes, Minnesota loses. That's what I'm thinking. It's going to be a long year, and even when the substitute teacher is finally relieved of duty and Eric Ramsey probably shows up after the Manchester Derby, we'll see what happens there. FC Dallas and San Jose. Kevin was concerned about your Quakes, Jarrett. FC Dallas a plus 108. Draws a plus 241. San Jose is a plus 254. Maddie, go.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm going Dallas for this one. Yeah, I'm going Dallas.
The concern is there. Jarrett, what about your Quakes on the road?
Dallas.
Also at 8:30, as we stay in the state of Texas, Houston Dynamo. It was great to have our friend Glenn Davis on this week to talk about Houston and everything Major League Soccer. Houston at home against Sporting Kansas City, who Peter Vermees has said they're not going to be able to sign any DPs until the summer window. Houston a minus 106, draws a plus 254. Sporting is a plus 284. Maddie, go.
Yeah, wow, interesting. Yeah, I'm going to go Houston.
Okay, Houston at home. Jarrett.
I'm just going to say Sleeping Giant because I know somewhere that Glenn will get mad at me for it. And at this point, we just have built that vibe. So give me Houston.
All right.
Ben Olsen's.
Yeah, the Fighting Ben Olsen's. Also, the last one at 8:30 Eastern, all caps and RSL. RSL on the quick turn after losing in Fort Lauderdale at Chase Stadium. All caps are a plus 106. On the plus side at home, interesting, against an RSL team that is coming in on short rest on the quick turn. Draws a plus 271. RSL's a plus 227. Maddie, go.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the fast turnaround, especially with how the game was on Wednesday, I just think Real Salt Lake's going to be spent, and they're like, it's going to be a fast turnaround. So I'm going to go St. Louis.
Okay. All caps at home. Jarrett.
Yeah, all caps at home here. To expand on it, yeah, Maddie's right. I mean, you get that mid-season, that midweek flip. I get that it's February, but we still talk about, the cold rainy night in Stoke. Well, have you done it on a humid, like soul-sapping night in Fort Lauderdale? Because it sucks. And it's not fun. And now you have to go play teams that's going to chase you around and just harass you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. So 10:30, Portland and Colorado. Who are these Colorado Rapids that are spending money on personnel? It's strange. Portland, a minus 147, draws a plus 305, and Colorado to win on the road is a plus 362. Maddie, go.
Yeah, I'm going Portland for this one.
Not a shock on the board, minus 147. Jarrett.
Yep. Portland.
All right, Sunday. 2:30, and by the way, just to recap where things are, for those of you that have Apple TV, Columbus, Atlanta's on Season Pass. LAFC in Seattle is also on Big FOX in addition to Season Pass. Charlotte, NYC on Season Pass. It is Apple TV on the free side for DC, New England, Orlando, and Montreal. Season Pass, Philadelphia, Chicago, Austin, Minnesota, Dallas, San Jose, Houston Sporting, St. Louis and Salt Lake, Portland and Colorado. Cincinnati and Toronto start things off on Sunday after they got to play in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza last night. They're at home, 2:30, free side of Apple TV and Season Pass, taking on Toronto. Shocking no one, FC Cincinnati is a minus 256. Draw is a plus 400, basically. Toronto FC to win is a plus 610 at TQL. Maddie, go.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's wow. Okay. I'm gonna go against it. I think it's gonna be Cincinnati. Obviously they signed someone literally today, which I think is a very good signing, someone that's coming back to them. But I think it's still going to take a second for them to get something under their belt. I think Cincinnati has a better foundation right now.
Right.
So I think it's going to be Cincinnati.
Okay, no real shock at the big minus number. Jarrett, John Herdman, hot seat, go.
I mean, let's give him a minute first. Yeah.
Oh,
Give
come
him 5
on.
games.
Come on.
We gave Chris Armas 5 games.
Let's be angry and trendy and sit there and put folks on the hot seat before the season
If we're
starts.
going to be angry and trendy, then we have to do it at Josh Wolf because everyone's decided he's the next one to get fired.
Yeah, no kidding. So no real shock that we are in line with what we're staring at involving FC Cincinnati. All right, 5 o'clock, Nashville and Red Bulls. This one interesting. Nashville coming off once again a 3-0 win over Mocha FC and in the Dominican Republic and getting ready for that second leg, which they probably can rotate their side in on Wednesday. Nashville at home at Geodis, a plus 142. Draws a plus 217, and Red Bulls are a plus 202. So Nashville favored on the plus side, though. Maddie, what say you?
I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be so fun. I think because just of the way both of these sides play, I think it's going to be a like gritty, fun game to watch. With that being said, just because I think of that home field advantage, I think it's going to go to Nashville.
All right, Nashville at a plus 142. Jarrett, what do you think?
Nashville, nothing about it is enjoyable. We've gone over this before. I gave my manifesto on this when we were in Athens freezing our asses off.
Mm-hmm.
The question for Nashville is Sam Surridge going to miss significant time? Because if so, they only have like one other striker on that roster.
Yeah.
And you have to have somebody to help Hani Mukhtar carry that load. Because they're already so Hani Mukhtar dependent, you have to have someone help him. Now, does that mean if he's out that Hani can't carry it for a couple of weeks? Absolutely he can. He's that good.
Yes.
But at a certain point, you have to have somebody help him. He will eventually crack. Just like it's the philosophy of like if you ever, I don't know if y'all ever watched like the Metrics World's Strongest Man in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Absolutely.
Like the classic ESPN programming.
Oh,
ESPN2
absolutely.
programming. It's kind of like this idea of when they would do a grip contest, like they would do like hanging over water where you'd have to hang. Like just because you can do it doesn't mean you can do it forever.
Correct.
Hani can carry that team, but I don't think he can do it forever.
No, absolutely not. So that's what we're staring at. But I think right now, and Forsberg will be an interesting watch on his first match in Major League Soccer. All right. LAG and Messi and friends, after playing in the midweek, Messi and friends get to travel from one end of the world to the other to take on their friends at LAG. Will Paintsel be involved playing, having signed just a day ago? Don't know. 10:30 Eastern time, 20:30 is 8:30. Sorry, 8:30 Eastern time. LA Galaxy and Messi and friends. And this one, LAG is a plus 161. Your draw is a plus 295. And Messi and friends on the road is a plus 136. Maddie, go.
Geez.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I think I'm like trying to think just at least from performance of last year. LA Galaxy was not the best.
No, they were not.
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
I do think that Messi and friends are going to win this one. Even though they are tired and we're probably not going to see Suarez at all because he's going to be icing his knees. But I think it's going to go to Messi and friends.
All right. So Messi and friends, that's what Maddie thinks. Jarrett, what do you think?
You need this new look Galaxy. Let's get weird with it because I would love nothing more than like this new look Galaxy to come out of the blocks like 4 for 4, like like 12 points from 4 games kind of thing, just to get everybody hyped up. Also Miami's legs are not going to exist at a certain point this year. Suarez can't keep doing this.
No.
He's going to need to rest. Messi, more so than Hani Mukhtar, can't carry this, but even he can't carry it forever. Also, eventually, the same thing we talked about last year with Miami in Leagues Cup, where like where teams were like comically inept in front of the goal. RSL was comically inept in front of goal, including Chichorango deciding to flail on the ground and throw himself looking for a PK instead of keeping his feet for a tap-in goal that would have tied the game. Like an idiot. Like if you were in a situation where you were not going to be able to get to the ball, or the ball was not going to get to you, and you thought you might be able to pull a penalty out of that, cool, do it then. But you had the step. The ball was a good ball across. You threw yourself at the ground, and yeah, there probably was contact, but the ball's going to get to you, and you're going to be able to turn it in and finish. And you threw that away to flail at something when, like, if you're gonna flail and try and buy that penalty, then try and buy that penalty in a situation where you're not going to get the ball. Don't do it in that golden scoring opportunity where the square ball is right there. You idiot, you.
Yes.
Give me like the Galaxy like finish in front of net and put up like 3 or 4 goals here, and everyone gets really excited because for 90 minutes. And then however long the post-game show is, people are going to forget that Miami has so many question marks on defense that we can't even really go over all of them. Give me the LA Galaxy hype train, even if that hype train derails and explodes in the forest and creates a Chernobyl situation. I'm fine with that. Give me weird talking points. Give me the Galaxy here.
Okay. All right, so let's get into Atlanta and Columbus to wrap things up. Doug posted a longer form version of the earlier Bolo that he put out about the DP situation. It is Gigi, Thiago, Gregerson. Those are your 3 DPs. DP salary plus the transfer fee when amortized over the length of the deal exceeds $1.683750. So players whose salaries will result in the club using TAM: Abram, Etienne Jr., Lennon, Saba, and who was a DP, Bart Sleesh, and Jamal. And so, Doug, TAM players, those whose salary and transfer fee, when amortized over the length of the deal, less than $1.683750 and more than $683,750. Each club gets 2.4 in TAM at the start of the year. That's used to buy down salaries to or below $683,750. International slots: Abram, Gigi, Gregerson, Saba, Muyimba, Shande Silva, Sleesh, and Jamal. Thiago and Edwin Mosqueda have secured green cards, no longer occupy international slots. And so now we have also in Doug's article, the length of the contracts plus final option years as well. So designation, guaranteed contract year, final option year. So Doug has that information, and he has posted it, including the supplemental slots and the off-roster slots and those who are out on loan. So if you want to look at that, Doug has posted that information. All right. Weather in Columbus, by the way. Today, as Jason and everybody goes up there, it's going to be a high of 54. Winds northwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. This brought to you by our friends at the Weather Channel. Tonight,
you sound like you're doing local on the 8s.
I am local on the 8s because it's 58 after right now. So tonight in Columbus, low of 26. Cloudy, snow likely late, low of 26. Winds from the north at 10 to 15. Chance of snow, 80%. About an inch of snow expected. So tomorrow, forecast. Saturday, a high of 36. Snow during the morning, clearing skies and sunshine in the afternoon. Winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Chance of snow, 70%. So a high of 36. It'll be in the quote-unquote heat of the day, but there will be clearing of it, an inch of snow off the ground at lower.com field in beautiful, bustling downtown Columbus, Ohio. I would probably say this might be an orange ball alert, and it also might be take the under. The numbers from our friends at Odds Portal and the Composite. Crew a minus 164. Draws a plus 348. Atlanta United plus 372. Maddie, not just your selection. You don't have to give a selection if you don't want, but what are you looking for in this match from Atlanta United going up against the defending champs?
Ooh, I mean, I think I'm just excited to see the team as a whole. In preseason, we got to see glimpses of that full team. Obviously, it was time constraints. We only saw it for 45 minutes. I'm excited to see what this team can do with that full 11 on the field and how they're going to produce it. I'm excited to see Gregerson be in that back line. I'm excited to see what he can do, especially from a Columbus side that is going to run it up there. They're going to be pushing up there the whole time. I'm excited to see what our back line's going to do. I'm excited to see Giakoumakis be at full form. It's hard because Columbus is going to be someone who is going to create chaos in this league. They are so good.
Jarrett. Sorry. Keep going, Maddie.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I was actually going to say, I think they're going to tie.
Okay. So Maddie's calling draw. Jarrett, what are you looking for in this matchup that's going to be in subhuman temperatures and possibly orange ball alert?
Can we just ban Columbus, Ohio?
Until like May or June?
Yeah, man. I mean, it doesn't even matter then because every time Atlanta goes there, even if it's warm, you get like a frog strangler.
Yeah.
Just ban Columbus, Ohio, man. Get the first one out of the way. It's something I would hope to be able to jump on this morning with Greg or Cap and just to ask about, what is it? How do you, even as a veteran, do you get those nerves of like, hey, first game of the season, let's get the first one under our belts. So just get the first one under your belts. It's not going to make or break the world. Get the first one out of the way. It's the first time we'll have seen Thiago Almada, who we didn't see in preseason because he was with Argentina for what felt like 4 months.
Correct.
See what it looks like and see if you can use all of those physically demanding and scrappy games to your advantage from preseason because you know that Columbus is going to be scrappy. You know that, Morris is going to be kind of a pain in the ass in the midfield. He's probably going to flail on the ground a couple times and pick up some dangerous free kicks. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with stress? How do you deal with when the game is very much going against you? I'll be interested to see how you deal with that. And yeah, a lot of it for me is just get the first one out of the way. It's not going to be perfect. I don't know what's going to happen. If you ask me, I'd say Columbus wins it, especially if this is their little coronation thing as well after the Cup. The vibes are very good. The vibes are damn near immaculate. I think they'll be in good shape. I'd say Columbus wins it, but not the end of the world.
Okay. All right. So we've seen predictions. A lot of folks are looking draw here. At least they were early on in the morning. Once again, remember, 92.9 the game. Pre-game with Abe and Garrett, 1 o'clock. Kickoff at 2:10. And then after the match, full hour of the full-time report, once again, with Jason and Mike, with post-match sound, with Abe and Garrett. So you're going to get the full 4-hour extravaganza at 92.9 the game tomorrow. Really looking forward to it. And the beginning of the 2024 season in earnest. Let's see. So what to watch, where to watch it, gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. USA and Argentina in the W Gold Cup. We'll catch up with Bart on Monday, find out what he thought about the Gold Cup in general. Today, Being en Español, simulcasting Liga at 3 o'clock. If you don't have Bein and want to be a true degenerate when it comes to watching what you watch, get it from Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. You get Bein, all the Beins, For the Fans, Teise, Nuestra Tele, Gold TV, Liga 1 Max, all of them, all in one place. And you get to watch everything that you could ever imagine and more. So Being en Español, go to Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here, and you can get geared up for that. CBS Sports Network has UEFA Women's Nations League, France and Germany at 3 o'clock. FS2, Liga MX, Juarez and Monterrey at 10. ESPN Deportes has the Gold Cup, so does the Plus. Dominican Republic, Mexico at 7:30, USA and Argentina at 10:15. The Plus also has Belgian Pro at 2:40, Leeds and Leicester at 3, Bundesliga 2:20, Bundesliga B at 12:30, and the Gold Cup simulcast. Golazo Network, Women's Nations League, Spain and Netherlands at 3. They've got Dominican Republic and Mexico at 7:30. Paramount Plus, Also has Women's Nations League Spain and Netherlands Serie A at 2:45 with our friend Poppy Miller, and the W Gold Cup simulcast from 7:30 and 10:15. Reminder, doubleheader today. Johnson-Gainesville for the Whitfield County Hall County Challenge. First match, it's at 5:30. It is Northwest Whitfield taking on East Hall. Maddie is cramming for that test. She will have the call for you on that one from the castle. I will have the call after that one at 7:30. Dalton and Johnson-Gainesville. This one is big on a national scale. We will have it for you at soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. That's our live platform. That's our live network outlet this year. Soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. You'll hear Maddie on the 1s and 2s at 5:30. You'll hear me at 7:30. And hopefully we'll be recovered in time to watch Atlanta United at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Quick run through Prim and Proper's juice box numbers. 6 matches on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, 1 on Monday because of the Gummy Bear Cup final. Villa favored big at home against Nottingham Forest. 4 matches at 10 o'clock. Brighton favored at home against Everton at a -118. Crystal Palace with Oliver Glasner favored, but on the plus side barely at a +102 hosting Burnley. Manchester United hosting Fulham at a -167. 12:30 Bournemouth and Manchester City at the Vitality. Manchester City, no surprise, a -233. Bournemouth at home, a +606. Arsenal and Newcastle, the late game, 3 o'clock. Arsenal, a -250, hosting Maddie's Newcastle at a +644. Draws a +438. Wolves and Sheffield United, the only match on Sunday because of the Gummy Bear Cup final. Wolves, a -213, hosting Sheffield United at a +569. And Monday Night Football, West Ham and Brentford. West Ham, a +154. Brentford, a +171 at Olympic Stadium. And the draw is a +263. That's it for another week of SDH. Maddie, last thoughts before we go. Jarrett, have yours too.
Well, I'm gonna mentally prepare myself for Newcastle to lose tomorrow. So I'm just going ahead and getting that under my belt because, yeah, I'm just, if I prepare myself, then it doesn't hurt my heart. Okay. So that's how it goes. Very excited for MLS season. I'm excited to kick it off. It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you guys want some U.S. women's national team coverage, later on today, an episode will be coming out cruising through U.S. women's national team with me and Bart. We go over everything with Dominican Republic, that last game over there. And then we also have everything going on leading up into the game tonight. So make sure y'all be on eyes and ears when that comes out later today.
Yep, and Fabian Scher, according to Dell with a question, ahead of the Arsenal match, looks like he'll be fine for the trip to Arsenal. They had been feared that he had an injury with the 2-2 draw against Bournemouth. He twisted his wrist attempting to block a shot in stoppage time. Apparently, he'll be okay. Hope that Isak and Willock also available for selection. Craig Hope revealing both took part in training on Tuesday. Pope, Joelinton, Callum Wilson out with longer-term injuries. Scher is okay. Isak, Willock in contention. Anderson and Target expected back in training soon. So you might be trimming the all-injured 11 and trimming those numbers for Newcastle getting ready. Jarrett, last thoughts before we head into match week 1 in full.
Match week 1 is always exhausting because we're always going to overreact even more so to match week 1 than we did in preseason. It's going to be okay. We'll see what happens. Minnesota gets their manager in 2 weeks. Don't stress too much about Gregerson taking a DP spot. You're just diversifying money where you can. It's one of the reasons you made a bunch of sales, in the offseason to free up money so you could do this. You could stay compliant and buy guys down because you have guys who are above it. You could have just as easily have bought down Schliess's money or, Saba's or, Gregerson's money left Saba as the DP. It's just who you happen to leave there. Don't lose sleep over it. It's fine. It's whatever.
You could have bought down 2 of 3 in a combination of Gregerson, Schliess, and Saba, and the one that you couldn't buy down would be the third DP, and that turned out to be Gregerson.
Yeah, and it's almost not worth thinking about. So
Messi and friends.
Once again, Messi and friends' issues are not the DP. Their issues are
cap. Period.
Their issues are the rest of that roster.
Yeah,
like being possibly not good enough, and
Yeah.
Tata might have to murder somebody.
Well, I think that
And if we're going to get mad at somebody for the way
Yeah.
they're doing money, go get mad at the way the LA Angels did the Ohtani deal. Like, if we're going to get mad about somebody doing weird cap shit, go get mad about the way that the Dodgers have kicked the can down the road with Ohtani. The man's going to be getting paid money when Chernobyl's habitable again. We're going to be able to dig up Marie Curie's body and actually be able to look at it without dying of radiation poisoning by the time his payments are done.
Why you want to bring up the Angels on this show? Why you want to do that to a man?
Go Braves.
As the resident Angels fan, that's what Jarrett does. Jarrett takes the screw top and he just kind of sits there and jabs it right in my.
Somehow you're still paying for the sins of 2002, and it doesn't make sense.
No, but once again, it's Artie Moreno and the Angels, and we'll be paying Albert Pujols his ambassador status until I think the year 22-14. So I think we'll be in good shape. Once again, enjoy the weekend, everybody. Tonight, it's the SDH matches of the week from Johnson Gainesville. Really looking forward to those two boys matches at 5:30 and 7:30. And then tomorrow, it is Major League Soccer from wall to wall. Enjoy it. We'll talk about it on Reaction Monday. We've got the whole first hour. We've got Abe and Garrett coming in early. Bart will come in at 10 o'clock to talk about W League and things. And then we'll do Prem and Proper, the review. We'll talk about all of those things. And I think Tom knocking out a lot of letters when it came to the cap. Blank you MLS, simplify this ish.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to get there one day.
Yeah.
Instead of building rules upon rules, just simplify it. But easier said than done, unfortunately, for them.
Plus the access that's involved. All right, we'll see it. We'll see at 5:30 from Johnson Gainesville. Thanks again for another great week here in SDH. All the guests to get you ready for match week 1. Fantastic having all of them here. All the 1v1s that are on the network. All the conversations we've had all week. We'll release those notifications all over the weekend. If you missed something, we'll catch you back up on those. Enjoy the games. We back at it on Monday for a Reaction Monday, over, under, or on par. Mucho plati, I'll play it safe. And since it's the end of the show, that means that I get to do this. We'll be back at it 5:30 this afternoon live. SDH, Monday morning, 9:05. See you then.